What if I told you that a football match, just 90 minutes on a pitch, triggered a real war between two nations? Not a metaphor, not a feud, an actual armed conflict with soldiers, airstrikes, and thousands of lives lost. This is the story of El Salvador and Honduras in 1969, and the more you dig into it, the more you realize the football was never really the point. Let me give you the context first, because without it, the story makes no sense at all. By the late 1960s, El Salvador and Honduras were already sitting on a powder keg. El Salvador is one of the most densely populated countries in Central America. Land was scarce. Around 300,000 Salvadoran immigrants had crossed the border into Honduras, building lives, farming land, raising families. Then Honduras, facing its own economic pressures, began deporting them. Mass deportations, families separated, people stripped of everything they had built over decades. The tension between these two countries was real, it was raw, and it was building fast. Then the 1970 FIFA World Cup qualifying round arrived, and that's when everything changed. El Salvador and Honduras were drawn to face each other in a three-match playoff series in June 1969. The first match was played in Tegucigalpa, Honduras on June 8th. Honduras won 1-0. What stands out to me about this match isn't the scoreline, it's what surrounded it. Reports of Salvadoran fans being attacked and intimidated throughout the trip painted a picture far uglier than anything happening on the pitch. The atmosphere wasn't football anymore, it was something else entirely. The second leg landed in San Salvador on June 15th. El Salvador won 3-0. But here's the problem, the violence didn't end with the final whistle. It followed fans on both sides long after the stadium lights went dark. A third and deciding match had to be played, and it was arranged on neutral ground in Mexico City on June 26, 1969. El Salvador won 3-2 after extra time. They had qualified for the 1970 World Cup in Mexico. And then, 18 days later, something happened that the football world had never witnessed before. On July 14, 1969, El Salvador launched a military invasion of Honduras. The football war had begun. Now, I want to be clear about something, because this is where the story gets misread. Football didn't cause this war. When I look at the situation honestly, what I see is that the matches became the spark that ignited tensions that had been compressing for years. The land disputes, the deportations, the deep economic inequality, the nationalism. Football just gave all of that a face, a moment, a breaking point. The sport was the trigger, not the weapon. The conflict lasted roughly 100 hours before the Organization of American States brokered a ceasefire on July 18th. Estimates of casualties range from 2,000 to over 6,000 people killed. Hundreds of thousands more were displaced. Two neighboring nations had gone to war. El Salvador did go to Mexico for the 1970 World Cup. They lost all three group stage matches, 0-3 to Belgium, 0-4 to Mexico, 0-2 to the Soviet Union. But they were there, on the world's biggest stage, having qualified through the most violent playoff series in football history. From my perspective, this story asks a question that no football fan should ever stop thinking about. When does the game stop being a game? The honest answer is that sometimes it already was something else, long before the first whistle blew.